What is going down, my YouTube family? It is your boy Zary, and it is Saturday night, and we are going to talk about Titania, the new elf that is coming to the game. We're going to do her Noob series. We're going to talk about her runes. I've played her, and she has a lot of possibilities. But before we get into any of that and my thoughts and feelings on this character, if you are just joining me for the first time and you are liking what you're seeing, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, all that good stuff that goes along with it. So let's jump into Titania for noobs. So here's Titania behind me, and I have Titania at gear 11 plus maxed out, and I did that for the gearing video so everybody could see what was going on. But when I break down her stats, I'm going to break down her stats at gear 11. Now, Be a Dragon Champion.info does have the stat max to level gear 11 plus, but the way to really break down this character, because it's going to take a while to get a lot of characters up to gear 11 plus, and I'm going to just use simply the stats for gear 11, and if this is something you want to see me change in the future, you got to let me know. Because of the gearing videos, I like to put those extra pieces on there. But even on the test account, we have to wait for that shop to cool down, and there's no way to refresh it, even on the test server. So I can't take instantly everybody up there. So keep that in mind as we're going through it. The stats I am going to read in the places they are at are based off of gear 11. Okay? So this is Titania, and her model kit isn't, my favorite in the game, but that's okay. She does have a stag on her shield, which I think is cool. She gives off that Valkyrie vibe, kind of like Hilda does. I really like this breastplate up here, but she is an elf and she is a defender. So when I break down like my thoughts and feelings on this character, I'll get into it a bit more, but she does bring some good things to the faction, but overall, you're going to have to wait for that. So, Titania, elf healer, or elf defender. Let's jump into her stats and start like we always do and break down her stats. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do when we jump into her stats is we start with speed. She is 120, tied for 51st in the game, to be expected. 120 for a defender is not very bad or terrible. It's right where they usually all are and where they should be. They start in that area. She's on the high end for a defender, but usually like 115, 120 is the range we see them start at, so it's to be expected. Health, though, first in the game, 31,940. Shield, fifth in the game, 33,135. Health and shield combo, fifth in the game, 65,075. She is tanky. Physical damage, 41st in the game, which is something we normally see, 2,353.26. That's usually where defenders fall, is right in that range of like 2,100 to 2,500. She's right in the middle of that, and that's what we see. Physical armor percent, 29th in the game with 31.44. Pretty good. There are 65 characters in the game now. So, or 66 with Thanisa. So 66 characters in the game. Alright. I'll take that. Above average. But look at this. Magic armor. 42.72. First in the game. Just adding to her tankiness, her beefiness. Just really, really good. Critical chance. Next up on the list, comes in at 26th in the game. This is surprising for a defender with 25.3. Potency, 32nd in the game with 30. Tenacity, 19th with 32. So, the critical chance is kind of surprising and is up that high. Potency, 30. Standardish for a tank defender. And tenacity just adds to her beefiness. That's really good. So my stats takeaways for Titania. Tanky. She is ungodly tanky, and it is super cool. Her armor is just absolutely fantastic. High physical armor, high magic armor. Physical damage is low, but she's a tank, so that's to be expected. You know, the critical chance is higher on this character. And the same thing with her speed. Her speed is low. We expect it to be low. She's a defender, okay? So we really can't expect a defender to come out of the gates at 150, you know. So that is just something to keep in mind. Now, we saw her potency was low. We got to see if that plays into her move kit. But the main things that stood out to me was that she's super tanky, great on armor. Physical damage is low, and so is her speed. Potency is also low. Probably should have added that one in there. But we're going to move over back into the game, and we are going to check out her move kit. Alright, so we went over her stats, and I'm on my account because the translation for the move kit on the test server is kind of wonky. So I am on my account here. That's why she is not geared or anything like that. So we're going to get into her move kit and see if anything we learned from her stats. And I don't know how this happened. I don't know what the hell happened there. So, yeah, we're back. Anyways, Blood Spear. First ability, 220 physical damage, gains dodge increase for 1 turn, and inflicts bleeding for 2 turns upon landing a critical hit. Okay, awesome. Dodge increase is amazing. And come Monday morning, I'm going to ask about the dodge because with this patch that brought Titania into the game, dodge just seems absolutely insane. Even worse than it was before. I had problems with it before, but even now it just seems crazy. AI is dodging everything in its mother, and I'm not getting any dodges. I don't know. It does not seem right. It seems even worse than before, so I'm going to bring that to their attention. But that's besides the point. Dodge increase, always good. Dodge has just been a mechanic in this game that's always seemed just very overpowered. And then we see bleeding. So inflicting the bleeding for 2 turns is really cool. On a critical hit, she has that high critical chance, so that is a plus already on her kit to start, but her potency is extremely low, and you gotta pass the potency tenacity check to get that to stick. Once you hit level 5, it inflicts the bleeding, 1 potency tenacity check, but her potency, again, very, very low. So we're seeing physical damage, we're seeing dodge increase, and we're seeing bleeding with the potency tenacity check. Alright, Wild Hunt, ability 2. Deals 330 physical damage to an enemy. For each living elf in the party, Titania gains an extra 20% chance to call a random elf into assist. If the target is bleeding, applies ability block for 1 turn. So, a lot of good things going here. We're seeing some of that General Murdoch at a 20% clip, very low, but still we're seeing that chance to call in elves to assist. There's a lot of good basics in the elves, like Singeal and Blind. We have Days on Thalane. So there are a lot of good basics in the elf faction. So that is really a plus to see. And 330 for a defender isn't really anything to scoff at. But if the target is bleeding, so on that basic, you are inflicting the bleeding. If they're bleeding, you put ability block on for 2 turns. Now, ability block is one of the best moves in the game. Debuffs that you could put on, rather. And it is just really, really good. But they have to be bleeding, so you gotta pass that first potency tenacity check to bleed. Then you gotta pass that second potency tenacity check when you use this move to put on the ability block. So, again, we're seeing that low potency creep its ugly head here. So we're going to move on to the third ability. Third ability here, Bait. It's her taunting mechanism, removes 1 debuff from herself, allied healers and mages. So healers and mages in the elf party are also going to have a buff removed from them, so that is huge. Gains taunt, cheat death, and counterattack for 2 turns. So we're seeing some Tromgar synergy brought in. You know, Tromgar gets the counterattack, the cheat death, basic to apply those bleedings, so you have more of a chance to do that. So that's really good. And what I really like here is she's dispelling herself with taking away 1 debuff. But it says allied healers and mages. It doesn't say elves here, okay? So any healer or mage you have in your party, you're going to dispel a debuff. Now, this to me is kind of a plug-and-play ability, because say you put her with Soleus and 3 mages like a Cruel, Freezard, and an Ember. Let's just say that. You're going to dispel them because Soleus is a healer, and then you have your 3 mages. So this has some plug-and-play viability outside of the elf faction on her taunting mechanism. And a taunting mechanism that gains cheat death and counterattack when she has a good basic with the bleed attached to it really, really can be helpful. Now her passive ability, Guardian of the Grove, increases dodge by 5% for each living healer or mage in the party. So again, we're seeing some outside synergy from the elves, but if you have elves, it's 10% for each living elf healer and elf mage in the party. So we're seeing, you know, the reworks to Singeal and Aurelia really kick in here. So the Thalia rework would be fantastic with her. But 3 mages in the party and a healer. So you put her in that Soleus comp instead of Little Baddie as the tank on that team, you're getting an extra 20% dodge. Pretty effective. If there is no taunt on Titania, she recovers 5% of the turn meter when an allied healer or mage takes damage. Twice more for elf or mages. That is really cool. This is kind of like the first time we're seeing a defender, when their taunt is down, gain turn meter when other people are attacked. And I really like that because they're the savior of the team. They're the meat shield of that team. And this, to me, is really, really cool mechanic. But again, it has allied healers and mages. And then if they are elf, you get more. So, you know, if you're running her with Thalia, Nighttiel, 2 mages, Aurelia, and Singeal, it's 40% turn meter you're getting when they get attacked. If you're running that same team comp on her taunting mechanism, you're getting 40% more dodge. Insanity. Just insanity. So that is very, very cool. So move kit takeaways. There's one really big one I forgot to put on here, and it is dodge. She is a dodging machine. She has more of like a damage build, like a Tromgar-esque kind of build, Mega Wheel kind of build. She can do some damage as a tank. Even though it's lower, she kind of has that damage build. Crit chance plays into her kit to inflict the ability block. Potency rears its ugly head, and her taunting ability is amazing. Her passive ability is really, really cool and unique. She has a lot of good stuff from her move kit to pull away from here. So, you know, and when I think I should explain damage build a little bit more. You look at a Salvador, right? Salvador is there just to soak up damage, and his moves have nothing to do with anything but really just putting on or getting that taunt back up. Now, with her, you see her damage. She's countering, so she's going to be putting on a little bit more damage there. She has the bleed, then the ability block on a critical chance. So that's kind of what I mean by a damage build. Not saying you want to build her for damage, because as much damage as you put on her, she's really not going to do a whole hell of a lot. But she kind of has that damage build like a Tromgar on there. So when we talk about her runes, okay, we talk about speed on a tank, obviously. But she's one you want on a speed. She is feeding herself turn meter. But you don't need to go overboard with speed on her. You know, putting that northeastern rune speed, it's pretty much enough to cover it. But if you don't want to put that, and say you want to go with a health or a shield to make her even more abundantly tanky, then you want to pick up a little bit more speed in your secondaries. Damage. You want to be looking for damage in the runes. You want critical chance. You have potency. And then kind of shield, armor, survivability. But especially armor and health and shield is already so good. So what we're kind of looking for in her runes is you could obviously go force speed if you really want to. I don't really think that's a good choice for her. You could go a damage with a potency, critical chance, health, armor, secondary. You could go a combination of all of those. You could go some crit chance, some potency, some health, some armor, however you want to play it. Or you could go straight armor set. You could put in a lot of people have armor runes that they aren't being used, so you have some really good ones sitting there. And putting 6 armor runes on her can bring her armor up to like 60% magic, 40% physical. She's dodging all the time. That is the set I prefer. That is the set that I found to be pretty good with her. And when you're looking at secondaries, if you don't go the northeastern with speed, you're looking at speed. You're looking for damage, critical chance, potency, health, and shield. And then the other one I forgot to put on here, I did a bang up job on these graphics here, is armor. Take that armor secondary. You're going to get in that southeastern rune, you're going to get that armor, but you could even put the armor in the primary of the northwestern rune. Armor with her really makes a difference. So armor could be on there too, but obviously health and shield because survivability, potency because we want those bleeds to stick on her basics so she can put on that ability block, crit chance to get the ability block to stick, damage because she is going to be countering so much. You want her to do some sort of good damage. And then again, if you're not using that northeastern rune for speed, you want to put speed there. So I'm going to jump back into the test account. I'm going to put on the runes I got. Then we can take a look at her stats. Now, again, her stats are going to be a little skewed because I have the Gear 11 Plus on there. But we'll kind of just look at what I've added to her overall, okay? All right, so here we go. I got all armor set on her. So I'm getting 20% armor times 3, 60% armor. That is awesome. So, again, we went over what we're looking for. So on the northern rune, obviously we have the damage primary, but I have critical chance, health, and armor. Then I went for the speed here in the northeastern rune with health, critical chance, armor, and shield. Then obviously we have the armor primary, but I went with health, potency, critical chance, and shield. I went for the critical chance primary here. You could go damage, you could go health, you could go shield. Really doesn't matter, but I wanted to try out the critical chance, and the extra 7% kind of helped out. So I went with that, armor, potency, shield, and health. I went with the shield here because of the secondary stats of potency, health. I put a little bit more speed on her and some armor. And then I went for the potency primary in the northwestern rune. And again, if you just want to build her to be tanky and you don't care about the bleeds. But in this, it gave me some functionality and some plug and play with her based on other comps I was running with her. And I'll get into that in a minute. But we have shield, speed, damage, and health. So what did that do to her overall stats here? So we brought up her physical damage 127 to 2595. That's not anything to write home about at all, but it's better than what it was, and she's going to be doing a little bit more damage when she goes for those counterattacks. We brought up her critical chance 15.11%, so it's a pretty respectable 40%. So we got a pretty good shot when we do that second ability if they are bleeding to land that ability block. Her health, we brought up 1671, really good. She's over 40,000 because the Gear 11 Plus just takes her to another level. Physical armor, though, 14.22%, 51% physical armor. Magic armor, 14.62%, 60% armor. Shield, 6,487. Just adding to her tankiness. We put 33 speed on, putting her at 153. Pretty damn respectable. Got her potency, 25.98%. So that brings her up to, right around the 40-50%. I'll take a 1 in 2 chance to apply that bleed. So we did what we needed her to do. Now when it comes to artifacts, Okay, I've gotten people just kind of want to know 2 or 3 ranked in order of the best ones for her, and they don't really care about the common ones. But what you're looking for here is you are looking for something built for a defender with, possibly more armor, health and shield, a little bit of damage, some potency possibly. So that's kind of what you're looking for. So we're going to jump into my top 3, starting with number 3, 2, and 1. Okay? So that's how we're going to do the artifact, and I'll go over them for that. And yeah, so let's get into the artifacts now. Coming in at number 3 is an epic, which is a Furious Flame Totem. Gives you 9 potency, 300 armor. Losing taunt for the first time has a 30% chance to get taunt for 2 turns, once per battle. Now it checks the potency box, it checks the armor box, and she is a defender. So when you lose your taunt for the first time, whether somebody strips it, gives you a little bit of a chance to get that back up. Elves are notoriously squishy, so that could be really, really beneficial. So coming in at number 3 is the Furious Flame Totem made for Tromgar, and it is an epic. Number 2 is the Powder of Evolution for Failure. Potency of 6. This is a rare. Shield of 1600. Dealing damage has a 10% chance to gain regeneration for 2 turns. Can happen 2 times max. Now this one has a lot of caveats to it. You're getting potency. You're getting shield. Okay, awesome. Dealing damage has a 10% chance. That's very low, but it's 10% chance to gain regeneration for 2 turns. Alright, only 2 times during the battle, but you're going to be countering a lot, which increases the amount of attacks you're going to get, so you don't got to worry about how fast the character is going, right? So Titania, countering a lot. Also, regeneration helps out Singeal, so if you're running her with Singeal, this is a very, very beneficial one, but giving her a self-heal with all those counterattacks, you should really be able to get your regeneration to pop twice during that battle. Then you're getting that potency and shield bump, which is really, really good. I really like the Powder Revolution, and that comes in at number 2. And my number 1 is Desert's Vigilance, also a rare for Sergeant Pigwald, right? We get 180 flat stat damage. Now for her, that's big. 180 damage is huge. Then we put on 2400 shield, but at the start of the battle increases maximum health and maximum shield by 2.4%. She has the first best health and the 5th best shield in the game. So 2.4% of her starting health is like right around 950, and her 2.4 of her shield is like 750. So let's give her an extra 1600 survive stats for survivability. Desert Vigilance, rare, can be leveled pretty easily. 180 flat damage really helps out with that counter and the damage she's doing. Beautiful. And then shield, giving her more shield. And then let's just increase her survivability again. So the Desert Vigilance comes in at number 1 of my choices for artifacts for Titania. So now I'm going to jump into my thoughts and feelings on Titania and what I really think about this character. I've played this character with elves, all different type of elves. I've played this character with plug and play options. And does she make the elves meta? No, she doesn't. They're going to still struggle to beat teams. What does she do for the elves though? She takes crappy people you don't use and makes them really viable on Battlegrounds defense. You put her with Singeal, Aurelia, Nightiel lead, and Failure. Wow. They are going to be tough to beat because of the dodges that she gets. Just makes her insane. So she does have some use in this game, but is she going to make the elves meta? No. My big problem with her is she doesn't use some of the best elves in the game. We have Thelaine. We have Count Delman. We have Wonder Lua. She does worse with those characters than she does with Shinjil and Aurelia. So a lot of people don't have Shinjil and Aurelia ready to roll, but it's the truth. I struggled to beat more teams with Wonder Lua, Count Delman, and Thelaine in the lineup than I did just running a Nightingale lead with the 2 healers in Thalia. So that is something to take away. Now her plug-and-play viability. She's a good tank in that Soleus Mage comp. She is a really good tank for that Soleus Mage comp, and really way better than Little Baddie, and really helps out that team. Now I also used her in a bleed team. I put her on the team as a bleed team. Now her passive kind of goes to the wayside, but I put her in with a Revol, Snorri, Titania, Hard Orc with a Zera lead, and it did pretty well. I mean, it isn't anything, you're not going to run it in the arena, but it could be one of those sneaky battleground offensive teams or a tournament team to could really help you out. So she does have more synergy than just elves. So she isn't a bad one to invest in. I did not, really rank her in my tier list yet because I really want to play her more and kind of get into it a little bit more. But she is a fun character. She has a lot of potential in this game because of her passive and her taunting ability with that counter chance and applying that bleed. Any sort of extra damage you can do to tick away at somebody, and then just how much she actually dodges and makes her an interesting character. Is it when I'm going to rush to get to gear 11 on my main account? No, because I don't have Thalia, and I don't have Shinjil and Aurelia ready to roll, and that's really what she's made for. But depending on where they put her after the battle pass. Now, if they moved her to like an armor shop, yeah. If they moved her to like a tower shop or an arena shop for the early game players, when you unlock Soleus and you get Cruel up and running, and you have your Freezard, and you have Nightingale, man, that team in the early game, like mid-game, late mid-game, would be lights out. Would be really dominant in an early, mid, late mid arena. So she does have that options there. So my YouTube family, there is your Titania for noobs. And I didn't include battles because I got some feedback from some people saying you don't really need to put the battles in there because it's usually on the test account and everybody's decked out as could be. So she is very good for PvP. That mid-game battlegrounds, she'd be a really good defensive tank. And then PvE, tower mode, when those corner rooms for the elves, she would be huge for them. But she is a fun character, but not one I am rushing to max. She isn't Garrett level, but she isn't bottom of the barrel either. So definitely a lot of possibilities, like I said, with her. So again, if you're just finding me for the first time and you're liking what you're seeing, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, all that good stuff that goes along with it. And for my XMG family members out there, I love you. We are continuing to grow the channel. For all of the new faces out there, family, love you. Welcome to the family. I am so glad to have you. So with that being said, if you have not subscribed, click that subscribe button, turn on notifications, like the video, share them, tell me I'm wrong, leave me comments, all that good stuff. And that's what I got for everybody today. So you'll probably be seeing this on Sunday. And I am working on Zelenar for noobs, and I'm hoping to drop that Monday or Tuesday. So with that being said, I love y'all. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.